Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Welcome back to day 3 of our 7 days of SVGs. This time I'm showing you Snow White. She's not an SVG, she was actually a print then cut. And this is another thing that I'm going to tell you that you could do perfectly easily in the software. And that is to add this beautiful white offset to make your pieces look really professional. Anyway, she was a print then cut. And we're working on SVG. So let me put her aside because today we're going to work on Jasmine. So follow me to my screen and let's get busy. Okay, here we are again with starting the same way we have for the previous 2 lessons. And we've gotten Princess Jasmine. I right-clicked on this one in Google and then I right-clicked here and I said paste. This one, I didn't care so much if it was a good image. Notice it's not a good image. It would be a horrible image to use for print and cut because it's so blurry. But I'm just using it to get the colors, so it's fine. But over there in Google, what I did was I right-clicked and I said copy. And then I came here in the program and said right-click and paste. And now here she is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trace this just as we have done before. So I'm going to come over to the trace panel that looks like the piece of toast or the butterfly. And if you hover over it, it says trace panel. When I click on it, it opens it up just like that. The next thing I'm going to do is just click on select the trace area. That's going to allow me to draw a box around the part of the picture that I want to make into an SVG. So I hold my mouse key down now and just grab along there, not my mouse key, but my mouse, and grab along there until it goes like that. Now, I want you to look at something. We're getting a little bit more involved, just a teeny weeny little bit. I want you to notice something about this image. We've got to fix it. Check it out when I scroll way in. Do you see how these lines are? There's disconnects. There's openings in between these lines. They're not very well drawn. And if you look even way down here, when her hair, there's even a disconnect right there that'll really cause a problem if you try to do it without fixing that. So what I'm going to do is, I know that hole's right there. I'm going to up the threshold right here. And what that's going to do, let me scroll out a little bit so you can see more of it. It's going to change the lines here. So as I move this to the right, watch those lines and see how they're filling in. Do you see that? So you may think, okay, that looks perfect just like that. But you need to do this. You need to get the little magnifying bug, the bug tool, and really scroll in. So if I scroll in a lot, look, I can see there are still cuts here. And if I go down to the bottom of her hair, you'll see that it's not connected yet. So that's still going to be a problem. So I'm going to up the threshold a little bit more until that becomes a solid yellow line right there. I'm going to just move my mouse up here and just checking this out, looking to see how it looks. So I think that looks a heck of a lot better than it did a few moments ago. I'll scroll out. So I think that's a nice trace now compared to what we had. So I'm just going to hit the word trace. And now what I can do is move the box, the black piece with the box, off and just delete it. I don't need it. The next thing I can do is I'm going to grab the outside of this whole thing, and you remember I said we're going to change it to a color we know we're not going to use in Jasmine. So I'm going to come up here to the hashtags and I'm going to choose a color I won't be using in her, and it's probably like a purple. I'm not going to be using purple in her, so that looks great like that. So far so good. And then the next thing we do is, remember, right now I can't choose any of these little pieces to color them, like the color her lips. I can't choose her lips. However, if I click on all of this and select it all, then come up to Object, Release Compound Path, watch what happens when I release the compound path. Again, that's going to put little boxes around everything, little selections. It's going to allow me to select the different pieces that I want to so I can color them. Here we go. Look at that. See all those pieces now? So now if I wanted to, I really could do her lips. Let's check it out. If I go way in here, I can click on her lips just like that. And I'd probably need to scroll out because what I'll want to do is grab maybe the color of her lips. And I think I chose a bad image here. I probably could have picked a better one. But let me click on her lip again. And I'll come up here to the color palette area. get the eyedropper and see if I can get something that looks decent. We'll see. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so now I'm going to continue on with coloring her. So I'm just going to color some of the ribbon first. There's a part of a ribbon. Hold down my shift key, another piece. Come up here to the color switcher, color picker, and get the little eyedropper again. And it's basically the same color as her blouse, so I'll change it like that. The next thing I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and change the color of her blouse to that same color. So this is the last color I used, remember, right here. So I'll click that. Okay, she has some other ties in her hair that are the same color. So I'll click on this one, hold down my shift key and click on this one, and then change the color to the same as that. So that's pretty easy. I'm not sure what color the little bird is supposed to be, but I think I'll just make him like a yellow color. Just grab one like that. And let's see, we can start, let me see if I move this out. Okay, that's going to be the black piece. It's all going to be black. So I can, if I want to, go ahead and color her hair black, which is what I'll probably do. And I'll just have 2 layers of the black for stuff. So I'm going to grab her hair right here, come over to the color swatch area, get the black. Here's another piece of hair. Hold down my shift key and grab this piece. And this is probably a piece right here as well. Click on that and come over here and get the black. The black is the last color I used, so there it is. Okay, I'm not sure. This must be her hair in here. So I'll make that black. And I'm not sure if this is like an earring or what this is. I guess it is. So, but let's go ahead to go to her skin. I'll grab her skin color here, and I'll come up to the color swatch area, grab the eyedropper, and get her skin tone. And it looks like there's some up here that I will have missed, so I'm going to grab that. And I think it's this part, the skin. This looks like it would be black, but I think that will be covered later, so let's check it out. Let's do the rest of her skin first. This, hold down my shift key, get her shoulder, her arm, and her hand, and her little finger. And then come up here and get the same skin tone. Okay, if you'll notice, it looks like a few pieces of her hand got left out. And what is this, I wonder? Oh, that's part of her blouse, so let me make that the proper color. Okay, and so let's scroll in. I always like to use this tool a lot because it really helps you see what you're doing. So I would get this piece, hold down my shift key and get this, and then come up here and change that to the skin color. Okay. And let's see what else. I guess I can get this little bird's feet, but you know what? I don't think I want to do all those little pieces of that bird and have them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on them. And I hope you can see that when I double clicked on those, these little boxes came up, and those are known as nodes or points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these, and there's several ways to delete them, but for today, what I'm going to show you is this. See how my pointer right now, or my cursor, is a hand. When it goes over there and crosses and touches one of those nodes or points, it turns into a square with a little diagonal line through it. When I click on that node, notice how it turns white, which means it's the active node. I can act on it. I can do something to it. And I am going to do something to it. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. And now the next one became the active node, and I'm going to delete it by hitting delete on my keyboard. So I'm going to do the same thing with all these little tiny, or maybe, yeah, I think with all these tiny pieces. So I need to double click on it. When my hand changes into the square with the diagonal line, I can click on a node. It turns white, active. I can hit delete. Keep hitting delete because more or different nodes are being active, and there we go. Keep doing the same thing here. Delete, delete, delete. Here. Unfortunately, then my bird's only going to have like one toe, but that's okay. So I'm doing it again over here. These are the bird's feet, and I don't want to have all these little pieces to mess with. So I'm going to hit delete, delete, delete. See, every time I delete one, the next node in line becomes the active one, and I can just keep hitting delete. Same thing here. And as I said, there's another way to do the nodes or the points, but this is all I'm showing for today, and it will suffice. So let's scroll back out and see what else we have. We have a few more little pieces here that I don't feel are necessary. Like, look at all these little lines right here. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's scroll in so you can see what I'm talking about. I don't need all these little teeny weeny tiny pieces to cut out. They're not going to make or break my image. So I'm just going to double click on them to get the nodes, and then click on one of these to make it the active one and just start deleting. Same thing with this. Same with this, click, and this. And probably this. So all I'm doing is going around and finding these little teeny weeny pieces that I just do not feel are necessary one way or the other to make my image look good. I might want to make these two pieces yellow because he might look weird. So I'll get the selection tool and I'll click on those and I'll make them yellow because he may look weird without having that part of his face. And now I'll make this little foot and this little foot. I can make them orange or yellow. I'll make them orange, an orangey color. I'll make them the same as her. Nah, I'll make them orange. Okay. All right, so far so good. Now the next thing that I probably would do, is do her necklace. And let's scroll over and see what color is that thing. There we go. So I'm going to come up here to the color swatch area again, get the eyedropper, and just click in there to make it a color that looks pretty good. Her eyes, what color are her eyes? Brown? Maybe. So I guess this part of her eye would be brown. Hold down my shift key and get this. I think I grabbed the right thing. Let's see. Brown? Yeah. What else do we have to do? I've got to make this and this and this and this white. So like I said, I think I chose a little bit more involved one than I meant to for you this time, but I think you'll get the idea. I wish I knew what color her eyeshadow was, so I'm just going to give her eyeshadow the same color as her ribbon. I didn't look at her close enough. All right, let's see what we've got. Maybe I should make this the same color as her necklace. So I'll come over here and get that. And just make it all that color. There. Oh, and this should be black because that's part of her hair. And I think that's all I need to do for right this moment, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll out and I'm going to see what is going to happen now if I go ahead and change the whole back piece, and I can't easily click that. The way I'll know if I have that selected is by this. When I select this and I think I'm getting the outermost piece, if I look over here, it shows what color I've selected. It's black. We know my outermost piece is like a purple color. So if I click like this, oh, there, I got it this time. So I'm going to change that to black to see what happens. And look at that. That makes it just about perfect, right? OMG. Now I might want to get rid of this. Or what I could do is change it to black, because I probably wouldn't want to totally get rid of this because these would be little teeny tiny pieces. So for today, all I'm going to do is make these little pieces black. See how they look. Yeah, that's fine. And I guess I'll make that one black as well. Whoops, gotta make it black. Here we go. That looks really pretty. All right, let's see. We need to do a little something here. Maybe what I'm going to do is try this. Maybe I'll just make that a pretty tealy color like her hair bands. There we go. And let's see, is there anything else I need to do? Now you may be noticing that there's some red lines right here. And that's just what shows up in this software, because those are the cut lines. They won't show up in Cricut Design Space, but if they bother you, what you can do is just grab the whole image like this, and notice this thing right here with a box with an outline that's in red. That shows us what color the line color is right now, and we can see that it's red. I can go ahead and change that line color to black, and then look what happens. All those crazy red lines are gone. So let's see. I can either go ahead and give her an earring if I want to, or if I wanted to, I could just delete this thing right out of there. Let's go back and see. There was something I wanted to work on. Oh, her mouth. I thought there was something else on the bird as well. So let's scroll in first for the bird. And I see part of a finger needs to be done here. A finger color. Okay, let's look at this. See this little piece right here? The black from behind should show through right there. So let's click on this, hold down the Shift key, grab her hand, and say subtract. So let me hide this panel so I can show you again what I'm doing. Remember this, we had done this before. What we're doing is cutting a hole, the hole right out of there, so the black behind here shows up. So I'm going to click on this, hold down my Shift key, get her hand, and I'm going to click on the Modify panel. So far you shouldn't be too scared. We've pretty much used two panels, the Trace panel and the Modify panel. That's it. So we just have to come up after opening the Modify panel and click on Subtract. I'm going to do the same thing to the bird right here because I really would like the black to show through for his eye. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key after I click on that, grab the yellow and say Subtract. And I'm going to do the same thing right here with his little belly. Hold down my Shift key, grab the yellow, say Subtract. So I can just go through here and do that. Her little nostril, Subtract. The inside of her mouth, oops, I got to grab the outside part and subtract. Let's see. I think I really want to subtract that again. No, I don't want to do it like that. Hang on. I'm going to grab the inside of her mouth and just make it a different color. I'll see if I can get that. Just this part right here. And rather than it being purple, I'm going to make it a pink. There we go. And her lips, I would like to make her lips, instead of purple, a better color. And maybe I can, oh, it's too red for her. Here we go, maybe like that. Same color. And now I don't really like her tongue that color, so I might make it, or were those her teeth? You know, I'd have to mess around and get out another jasmine to see. Now, you can notice that there's a few pieces in here that we don't really need, and they're not going to make or break our image. For example, this piece right here. I don't think I need that to cut out, so I can double click on it to get the nodes. When my hand turns into the square with the diagonal line through it, I can click on one, which makes it active, which means I can act on it or do stuff to it. So I'm deleting it. I scroll right over here with my eyeball and I see this thing. I don't need that little piece to cut out, right? Okay, you probably don't need these pieces either, so I can double click on this one to get the nodes. One is active, delete. Same thing with this. If I leave these things in here, they're going to think they're going to cut. You might want these tiny little pieces of the white, here to cut out, so they look like a shiny eyeball. So I could change them to white if I wanted to, like that. So let's scroll back out and see if we have more pieces that we feel we need to get rid of that are not necessary. Okay, that right there, I'd probably just change that again to the same color. I don't like the way I've done her mouth, but we could work on that. And this color is kind of ugly. So I might want to change it to a better color. Whoa. Maybe I liked it better the way it was. All right, so I'm just scrolling out a little bit and I'm looking around for little teeny tiny cuts that I don't think are necessary. And it looks as though they've all been taken care of. Let's say the only thing I really don't like is her mouth. That. So what do you think? Should that be black? Let me hold down my Shift key and grab this and see what happens if I go to the Modify panel and subtract. Yes, I think I like it better black like that. Much better. All right, let's scroll back out. Okay, to me, she's looking really pretty good. There's another thing we could have done with this section in here, but this is just beginner SVGs, and I don't want to mess with that in this one. So what I would do now is get rid of this, because I no longer need it. And then the next thing I would do is I would go up here. Remember this place up here where it says select by color, because right now each one of these pieces is individual. And if I were to take this over to Cricut Design Space like this, there might be a whole billion different cut files, but we want them all to stay together, especially if we're going to do this out of vinyl or HTV. So what you do is come up here to the paint palette thing that says select by color. Click on that. And as you can see, it came in as select by line color. I don't want to select by line color. I want to select by the fill colors. Okay, so there are the fill colors. Now I must have something purple still in here that I don't want. I wonder what it is. Let's see. Let's see what could be purple. Well, you know what I'll do? I'll do every other color and see what we're left with. So let's start with this one. And it's grabbing all of these tealy, oh, this one. It's grabbing all the teal colors, and I'm just going to come up here to Object, Make Compound Path. So that made all of those pieces stick together just like that. Oh, look at this one left. Let's go back for a minute. I wonder why. Let's see if I made that the same color as these. So here's what I can do is I'm going to click on that to highlight it. Then I'm going to come over here to the eyedropper and make sure I click on that and make sure it's exactly the same color. And now I'm going to click on these. I think that time it got selected. It may have been just a teeny tiny bit different color, and that would have made it not be selected with these. So since I changed them all and they're all the same color, that should stay in the group with me. So let's go to Object, Make Compound Path, bring this stuff over. Perfect. So if we were doing this out of vinyl, when I put down my transfer tape on here, all of these little snipsels, all these little pieces would stay exactly where I needed them to be, and I could layer them exactly where I need them to be. Okay? So let's go to the next one. Let's do this one. Okay, let's do this one right here, which is her skin color. Let's check that out. Everything is selected, so all I have to do is Control E, because that's a shortcut, or go to Object, Make Compound Path, or Control E. And that keeps everything together just like that. Excuse me. So again, I would go to the yellow. That selects everything of the bird. I go to Object, Make Compound Path. There's the bird. This I've done. This is the orange, which were his feet. Control E or Object, Make Compound Path. Let's see what else we got. We got this, the brown, that are her eyeballs. Control E or Object, Make a Compound Path. What else we got here? White, Object, Make a Compound Path. The lips, Object, Make Compound Path. The black is just, well, it's many pieces, so that I'm going to go ahead and make that a compound path and hope this will work just fine. Object, Make Compound Path, no. So what we're going to do with the black is this. I'm going to move the big black piece out of there. The large, whoopsie, if I can. There we go. So there's that piece. And it says only shapes on the media, so it should just take these shapes. So I'm going to click on the black now. It shouldn't select this one because it's not on the media. So I'm going to go to Object, Make a Compound Path. And then the last color is this one. Object, Make a Compound Path. Okay, so this one's a little tiny bit different. Oh, there's a few straggly pieces in here that I'm going to delete. Must have been some little teeny ones. And I actually even see some little teeny ones here, but I guess these were the little sheen in her eyeballs. So here's how I'd put her together after she was all cut out. I would go ahead and put the base piece down first. And this is perfect, especially if you're making something out of cardstock or vinyl and you're making it to be an arrangement or a centerpiece or something like that. So what I could do if I wanted to, so I can see more clearly, or you can see more clearly right now, I'm going to change this to a different lighter color so you can see how I'm putting this together. This would be black though. And then I would put this on top. And then this, and you know, there's a lot of little pieces here. So you'd have to be willing to do that. But out of vinyl, it'd be very, very easy. There. A little bird. Let's see, this part of her hat. Or her necklace. Her eyes. I don't know where they go for sure. Her lips. His feet. And the rest of her eyes. And I'll probably be able to tell more easily how her eyes go when I change it back to black in just a sec. Now I can use the arrow key on my keyboard to move these easier. Okay, like that. And then her mouth, I can use the arrow key again to move that easier. And the same with that little white piece right there. There we go. And so I got to move over her, whoops, not the white of her eyes. Move that with the arrows again. But the irises, I think I had them selected, and I can tell what color I've selected again by looking up here at the upper left-hand corner. So I can move those over like that and maybe down some. All right, so let's change the background back to black and see how it's looking. Okay, looking pretty good. A little bit off. So let's see, I can move that over a little bit. And there, that pretty much fixed it up just like that. So now if I was making this with Cricut, with my Cameo, I would say send. And again, I would send it or cut it by fill color. So these are all the colors that are involved. I would turn them all off, uncheck them all. And I would just do them one by one. So I could do the color of her outfit first and bring that over here and do all of this out of vinyl. And when it was done, I could uncheck it, do the next one, which is the bird, put it maybe over here. And again, I would change the material that I'm using, change that I'm using my auto blade and that kind of stuff that I had shown you in the last video that I had done. So right now it's not showing much of anything because my machine's not hooked up. But I would change this to cut. I would change it, the tool to auto blade, and it would automatically know that if it were turned on. And I would change this not to cardstock, but I would probably be using vinyl. So I'd go down here to vinyl matte, probably. Okay, and I'd probably do that for all of them. When he was done, I could take him off, uncheck that, and do the next one. And so that would have that. Yeah, that's that. You can see because it puts a little highlight around it. Click that after it's done and just work my way down through this. Now let's go back and see what would we do for Cricut. Let me just hit undo, 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 and maybe it'll go back. Okay, so once again, I am right now working in the free version. If you have a Cricut and you're just testing this and thinking about doing it, but yet you want to save this, you can save it as a Silhouette file. You just won't be able to use it in your Cricut machine. However, if you decide to go ahead and buy the software, you'll be able to open your Silhouette file in the software and then save it as an SVG later on for your Cricut. So what I would do though now is I would just highlight all this and probably group it. And then if I was saving this for my Cricut, and I really was saving it for my Cricut, and I had the business edition, I would go to File, Save Selection to Hard Drive, and again, if I had the business edition, I would be able to save it as an SVG. Remember, it's only a one-time fee, and you can make SVGs till the cows come home. So let me show you how that would look. Now let me show you how it would look in the business edition. I can view it in the business edition since I own that. And now I could go to File, Save Selection, save the selection to my hard drive. I'll name her, well, leave it named like that, and I'll just change this. Now I'm going to save it as an SVG. Okay, and I don't even need to save for Cricut because any machine can use the SVG. Say OK. Let's open Cricut. Let's go to New, Replace, Upload, Upload an image, Browse. It's on my desktop. It's in this folder, and it's Jasmine, and it's the one that's the S, the software one. SVG, SVG, SVG. Let's click on that and say Open. And there she is, beautifully, just like this. Save. Okay, and I can insert her. And these are how many pieces you get over here that make her up. I can make her however size I'd like. And now if I just go to Make It, we're going to have the little tiny white pieces that we made that we can take up with transfer paper if it's vinyl. We've got the black pieces that we'll need, the base, and then the extra hair pieces that are going on top. We've got the little irises of her eyes, her arms, her chest, her shoulders and face, her necklace and the headpiece, the bird, her outfit and the ribbons, and her lips. So that's it. That's how easy it is to make an SVG. We would just continue on and cut these pieces out of vinyl or cardstock, and away you go. And you can just make SVGs till the cows come home, as I said. Again, though, you would need to have the business edition if you want to use it for your Cricut machine, because you must save it as an SVG. You cannot use a silhouette file in your Cricut machine. But again, I have a link down below for you, and I really appreciate it when you use it. I get a little tiny commission from it, and it helps support me and my team. And thank you very much. Hey, if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the little bell. And let's see what's coming up tomorrow. Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's tomorrow, so I hope you'll be back. See you. Bye-bye.